May 2018 horoscopes with me, Lada from astrolada.com. And as you know, the big event in May 2018 is that Uranus, the planet of big revolutionary changes, is moving into a new sign. We're going to speak about that, but mentioning Uranus, we're making a webinar with April on the 6th of May, which is 20% off if you order now, about Uranus changing signs and how it's going to affect you personally. And everyone who participates will be able to receive an email from us with a description of how Uranus will affect them personally, so they don't need to know any astrology and watch this part of the webinar that's most relevant for them. Take your seat on the webinar now when it's 20% off. And also, Levi is making a Vedic astrology foundational webinar for Western astrologers, so you'll be able to incorporate the most relevant, the most easy, but at the same time most productive Vedic astrology techniques into your Western astrology practice. It's a 4-week workshop for $160 only, starting at the beginning of May, on the 5th of May, so check out that webinar as well. And at the end of May, I'm starting my foundational course all about the 12 houses, which is 50% off if you get it now. Again, sorry, not 50%, $50 off, and it's gonna last for 6 months. Check out all those classes. Hello Capricorn, this is your May 2018 horoscope, and we're going to look first for a prediction for Uranus in your 5th house. It's moving from the 4th house, where it was kind of quite destabilizing to many of you because it was making squares to your sign, to Capricorn, with sudden disruptive changes that are a bit more difficult to predict, that were maybe changes were forced on you in some way. And Uranus was square Capricorn for the past 7 years. I'm not saying that the whole 7 years were like that in your life, but definitely something, especially possibly with your personal life, emotional life, the 4th house, when Uranus was shocked you, happened unexpectedly, had some kind of a disruptive influence, big changes, shifts, moves, but now Uranus is moving into your 5th house. This is such a positive and influence for Capricorns, actually. So the changes that will be coming for you over the next 7 years, while Uranus is there till 2026, will come in a harmonious way. It will not come in a disruptive way when Uranus was in the 4th house, in a way that pushes you into something. Again, even if you were pushed into changes, they turned out possibly to be for the best, but it happened in a way that you maybe had to, to lose something, and you had to struggle in some way, and maybe you were not really ready for that yet, so it was kind of more forceful, because Saturn, Uranus made from the 4th house a square, difficult aspect to Capricorn, but now it's moving into another sign, which means Uranus will be making trine to your planets in Capricorn, whether you're ascendant, sun or moon. The early Capricorns that are born in December can feel it already from May, and from this year, after May onwards. The later Capricorns can feel it 2-3 years from now, or if you're like Capricorn born at the very end, on the 19th or 18th, you might feel it towards 2025, 26. But somehow, and I say even already from now, the new changes that will happen in your life, because Uranus is the planet of changes, will come in a way that is supportive for you, that doesn't disrupt your life, that builds upon things that you've already built, on the foundation that you've built, rather than make you destroy everything first and then you build again. But Uranus, no, now it's going to be innovation in a very supportive way. And the 5th house is particularly a love life. There might be a sudden awakening in your love life with some very new, interesting person that gets triggered sometime, depending on your personal horoscope. And if you take my webinar with April, you'll know exactly when Uranus will trigger your sun, moon, or ascendant, because we send you an email with that. But just be prepared that something can awaken your love life. Maybe you haven't made love or fallen in love for the past 5 years or whatever, or 10 years. Now Uranus enters your 5th house, some new exciting figure can appear in your life, and sometimes it can be a bit disruptive again, because it is Uranus, out of the blue, anything shocking, but it's usually enlivening. Also, Uranus can awaken you to new hobbies and passions, and Uranus awakens us to things that we haven't done before, that are very revolutionary. You can suddenly become super passionate about the occult, about astrology, or about something totally new. You might say, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. Or you might say, I'm gonna, you know, my new passion is wine tasting or whatever. And especially because Uranus is in Taurus, is the sign of food and tasting and sensual pleasures. It's some kind of more fun, and it's in your 5th house, so more fun will come into your life by discovering new sensual pleasures, by rediscovering and, you know, kind of inflaming the 5 senses and the pleasures that come through the 5 senses in a new way. You can rediscover nature, you can rediscover good food, and you can discover a new passion for beauty, for art, for something creative, because 5th house is extremely creative house. That can bring back meaning for life for you, can bring joy for you. Uranus is a sudden awakener, so it can happen. If you're a creative person already, if you're someone working in fashion, in art, in music, in film, or someone in performance, or someone who has their own business, because you need to use your creative intelligence there, you can suddenly discover, creative career can suddenly take off. Uranus can bring you sudden ups and rises, you know, and it can suddenly it's not like, maybe because you've worked hard till now, but when Uranus enters the 5th house, sudden fame even can come, you know, so sudden new idea for creative projects. You can have like a sudden download of a book or an idea of a movie, a sudden download of an idea of a new business that comes. It's inspiring, you know, it's inspiring, and it's sudden, and it comes in and it develops very fast for you. You can suddenly get pregnant as well, so be careful. You make sure you know when Uranus is exactly activating your 5th house, because sudden unexpected pregnancy can come, or pregnancies that come to you through some kind of scientific intervention, because it's Uranus rules any innovative scientific interventions of any sort, like IVF and stuff. Sudden falling in love and all those things we said. Okay, so I can speak for hours, but let's go quickly more into May to see what is happening. Inspirational ideas. Uranus is all those things that is into the 5th house, and early born Capricorns will feel it already from May, June. But specifically in May, there is a wonderful configuration. Jupiter is in your 11th house and Neptune is in your 3rd house, and they're in a trine aspect, 120 degrees. So the whole month, good things come to you from this 3rd and 11th house, because both Jupiter and Neptune are very benefic planets. They're planets that allow things to happen easily, smoothly, naturally, without effort, almost like divine grace. Neptune is the planet of being divinely graced, and because they're connected through a nice aspect of opportunities, they will bring like almost, you know, luck and opportunities coming to you, and help from anything connected to 3rd and 11th houses, and these are social houses. So try to be as social as possible in May, Capricorns. Go to parties, to get-togethers, small group activities or concerts. 3rd house rules small groups, 11th house rules large groups. Go on forums on the internet, connect with like-minded people. Something good will come to you. But actually, you don't even have to force it. You don't have to push yourself to do those things. It will come naturally. And because something like some support can come to you from others, maybe from siblings or relatives. 3rd house rules those people, 11th house rules our friends. Or maybe some support can come to you from friends, or from people that you meet at the charity event, or people that you meet in some concert, or people that you meet out and about when you're on the street or on the internet. The 3rd house and 11th house are both connected to networks of some sort. Anyone who is in career that is connected to communication, to writing, to speaking, to marketing, to social media, to advertising, they can have a wonderful month for such projects, because both the 3rd and the 11th house, 3rd house is commercial business activities, 11th house is networking, so such kind of promotions of any sort or marketing of any sort is fantastic time for that if you're Capricorn, especially Capricorn rising, for if you have your own business, or if you're in businesses connected to networking, to writing, to speaking, to working with people, to communication, to information, to reaching out large groups of people. Actually can be a fantastic time to speak. 3rd house is speak or write, in front of large groups of people, or maybe to bring some commercial project or business project towards large public for approval, to be appreciated or something. Also 11th house, the house of gains, so you can have more gains by advertising something, more gains by working in a small group environment. Maybe some bonus or recognition is the 11th house that you can be held by working in a small group environment. Maybe if you're trying to do a PhD, look for the hope or support of the small group environment. Or maybe if you're trying to get some title or honor or some recognition, you know, again, some the right group environment can be there. Or maybe if you're trying to reach large groups of people with a message of some sort, or a business project, or all those things, again, very good time to do that. So siblings and friends and people in your life become of a more support. Reach out to them. You would receive either, without asking, they might actually offer you support in some way, or just be more better inclined towards you, and you can improve relationship with such people. Relationship with a friend. 3rd house, communication. 11th house is friend. You can create some friend, or friend can help you with something. Not create, but I mean create a new friendship, let's say. Or create a friendship that and collaboration of some sort, some associates. 3rd house is having associates, 11th house is your long-term goals and dreams, that helps you some creating some association with another that helps you move forward some commercial economic goal of yours, the 11th house. Okay, and another thing, Mars is going in its shadow period in your 1st and 2nd house in May, which means that first it is in Capricorn, and it goes in its shadow period from the middle of May, the 2nd week of May approximately. So it's going to be in its shadow period till almost the end of June, but it's going to be in shadow period in your 1st and your 2nd house. What does it mean? Well, it means that you have to, some new setup is happening in your life in May and part of June, which will be connected to you and to your money and your resources. That after that, when Mars goes retrograde, you would have to work extra hard on, because from June, the end of June till August, till the end of August, June, Mars goes in a retrograde period over those same degrees in your 1st house and in your 2nd house. It means that you have to fight for something then, that you have to change your strategy for something, that you have to put 3 times extra efforts in regards to something to do with your own personal plans for your life, or in regards to your own money as well and financial situation. So it might be that now in May some new opportunity appears that requires a lot of your personal energy, the 1st house, to put into creating something substantial and stable that can create new financial stability in your life. But when Mars goes retrograde, you might have to fix something that is not, that this plan needs to perfect, or needs to work much harder on to improve it. But it requires a lot of your personal energy, because it's in your 1st house and in your 7th house, and your 2nd house that Mars will be retrograde. But you have to be careful not to destabilize your life with a risky financial situation, because the 2nd house, when Mars goes retrograde there, you can have financially a little bit less stable situation. So in May, when Mars is in your 1st and 2nd house, be careful that the actions that you start now, the new plans, the new ideas, or the developments that happen with you, around you, that you are more careful with them. Because when Mars turns retrograde, something will have to be fixed there, to be worked more. So if you didn't make a big mess now, you just have to work extra hard to implement those ideas, especially that are connected to your finances, some developments that are connected with your finances, to fix some problems there, to rebudget, to restructure, to refinance, maybe to change where you're making your money from as well. But the hard work will come in July, towards the end, in June, July, August. While in May, it's the setup, and it's a setup that you have to, that will indicate what you'll be working on, with putting a lot of energy for the next 5-6 months after that, during the whole Mars retro and then going direct period again. And it will personally involve you. Be careful for when Mars goes retrograde for accidents, but that's for the June prediction. For now, it's more like you're starting something new. You personally, Mars in your first house. You will have to work very hard on, and that will directly impact your financial situation and self-worth, second house. And that will even require certain expenditure later on throughout the next few months, but which can give a fantastic result by the end of this retrograde period, which will be sometime in, September, October, that you'll see the results when Mars is moving direct again. But this summer, don't think you'll be just at the beach and, sipping a cocktail. This summer, Mars is retrograde in your sign and in your second house, so you're working very hard on fixing some complication or some situation and improving a situation that will directly require you to fight for something, to put a lot of energy on something, that will have a influence over your finances and resources as well. So again, don't be reckless with resources, but it can indicate that by the end of the retrograde period, by September, October, actually, you can have way more money at the end of that, when Mars has moved direct over the second house again in your first house, and that you might have created a lot more self-discipline in your life, because Mars would be retrograde in Capricorn as well. And Capricorn in the first house, it's you. It's about achieving a lot more self-discipline. It's about achieving a lot more like maybe some physical workout routine that you start in May, and that you will be working very hard for the next 2 months, that impacts your weight, the second house as well, that impacts your self-worth. So for example, in May, some of you might start like a rigorous physical exercise routine, because the first house is your physical body, and Mars is energy, and Mars is the planet of willpower. And then when it goes into the second house, you might even start using willpower for the food that you eat, because second house is what we put in our body, how we maintain our body. And then when Mars goes retrograde, it can mean that you're just working really hard using your willpower to make this part of your life, of your daily routine. This is one of the possibilities how it can play out for some of you. In other ways, you can start some new project, because Mars in the first house is about starting new things now in May and part in June, and then you'd have to use some of your resources, the second house, and Mars moves there, to invest in it and to buy new resources, to make some expenditure. And you'll start seeing those trends in May and June. And then when Mars goes retrograde, you have to work harder on it, fix problems, whatever, and then have it fully implanted in your life by the time it goes direct again. So thank you so much, Capricorn. Interesting times coming. So yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next month.